Hello and welcome to Casting Roles, a persistent D&D campaign played by a bunch of theater nerds. Thank you for joining us for the second episode of Season 4. If you're liking the show, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It really helps us, and it takes you just a moment. If you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at Casting Roles and on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Casting Roles ILM. But with no other announcements, we'll go ahead and start the show. So, ticket takers, you made your way to the island that houses the entrance to the underwater city of Azalor, and you have spent a few days of downtime here waiting for the Seablade crew to arrive with the other two tide bonds. You reminisced on your journey and then also fed each other seashells or not seashells, hopefully seafood, animated a pet weasel that is now smarter than you are, and just generally had some nice downtime. But
I might have cast it on himself because we think we're gonna make him smarter.
But I mean, wait, I guess it would technically. But as you, on the eve of the second day, you looked out to the ocean as Marlowe and Jury had taken off flying over the ocean to see the waiting Seablade crew that were getting ready to disembark on a landing craft, and they and Aryan Squalidator waved up at you as the sun is setting off in the distance, but with the ever-present Cloud City raging far above your head, but seemingly unconcerned with your presence. So ticket takers, with the rowboat of the Seablade making its way to shore, what would you all like to do?
I think me and Mar will circle back around.
Yeah.
And land down with everyone else. I look at Mar and I'm like, I feel like you should take proxy on this. You're best at talking to the pirates.
What?
You're the best at talking to them. I was shit last time. I'm not rolling another nat 1. I'm not
because I'm not actively aggressive to the pirates.
Listen, they said something that immediately pissed me off and I couldn't hide my feelings.
We've got to work on your poker face. It is terrible.
It's supposed to be good. I trained for so long.
I know. Okay, I guess I'll befriend the pirates.
Thank you.
So we're trying to like get them to be cool about us taking the spell and like not giving the text to Armon. So how do we want to play this? So we already gave them a lot of money, so they should be listening. But I think we got to get through to Aryan, the captain, on this one.
I mean, maybe we tell them that Armon wants to fuck everything up, and that's probably going to fuck up their business too.
That's fair. The end of the world is a pretty good selling point. Not a lot of business if the apocalypse happens.
Yeah, Veil creature's probably not good for that either. Well, I mean the Veil. Whatever you want to say there. Everyone else is in on this conversation. You guys could
absolutely. This is a group.
You've all joined.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of for being a little honest with them. I don't think we necessarily have to.
I mean, yeah, I'm down to being honest. I mean, I don't think we need to get into exactly what it is. I don't know if they know or not, but I think maybe we just,
And one thing we can ask them, since we did give them a lot of money last time, is just, if they get the order to off us, allow us to make a counteroffer.
Well, and remember, we gave them a lot of money and saved one of their ship members.
And saved one of their ships. And she owes us because she for sure killed Soros. So let us not forget.
Let's harp on all of the debt here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Really,
should I look especially pathetic?
Oh,
no.
Hey, that's my job.
No, you're both amazing. Scoop you both.
For purposes of the discussion with the pirates.
No.
If it gets to that point, but I'm hoping we won't. I'm hoping maybe they just residually remember that was the situation, and I don't want to have to actively play it because that feels like
no. Just I'm haunted by nightmares.
Yes.
Haunted.
Yeah.
By nightmares.
I like that. I like that angle. Yeah.
Wait, like you're not right. Like you're okay. I'm too. You're fine, right?
The silence.
He just doesn't respond.
Puts the mic up
and then leaves the room.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that actually.
He went, you're not having nightmares, are you?
No.
And then you just went completely silent. It was so funny.
I think
I heard the noise of my cat.
You should have taken that. That was excellent.
Oh no, that was good.
Yeah, I'll give him the assist on that one.
There you
I'll
go.
be right back.
Okay.
Continue discussing. I can hear you. So.
Yeah, I think Mark can take precedent on this if we feel comfy with that, and we roll with it.
I just still am so unsure of why, but we.
You were so good at talking to them last time.
How?
Me and Abel cannot talk to them. Me and Abel simply cannot talk to them.
I guess so. All right, I'll play the friend angle. Kaimana, you play
the
angle that you do.
Yes, someone who loves the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Soros can play haunted by his past angle, traumatized by
like it.
He's good at it.
And then me and Abel will stand at the back and not say anything. Right, Abel? We're like, your hand.
Right. Try our hardest, not just anything. Yes.
Yes. No, we will not say anything.
If the pirates say something about them being pirates and you get mad, like they will do, and you will get mad, I think maybe if you guys just like hold hands and you just like squeeze each other's hands to be like, I'm so mad right now. Yes, and the other one to be like, I'm so mad too, but you don't have to say anything.
We can use the earbuds and you could just message me and we'll just talk about them behind their back instead.
There you go. Great work.
Perfect. Right. As you all
are planned, this went unbreakable. This one.
As you're all having the conversation, the ship is the rowboat is approaching, and Darian comes out from whatever structure or safety space that he had created on the ship, and he kind of looks out. Are you all through with your secret meeting?
Yeah, thanks for letting us have that one.
All right. Yeah. Well, so the landing crew's on the way.
Did he just eavesdrop?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is not another Yorian situation.
Absolutely no idea.
Okay. Yeah. He was fairly far away, so it'd be difficult. Okay. You guys were like out on the beach and he was like up at the tree line. So you feel like he probably didn't hear what you said. He's like, the Seablade crew, always somewhat late, but I guess on time in their own way.
At least you're all here this time. Hopefully.
Probably. I would assume that they bring the whole crew and not leave any behind in Bogtown.
Oh, we didn't tell him about that, did we?
Yeah. So as you are all kind of standing there, and then the rowboat approaches, a couple people jump out. The very large orcish figure, or the half orcish figure, and the tabaxi get out from the back, and then they kind of push the ship up to the shoreline, and then a couple others jump out and pull it fully up onto the sand, and then Arian kind of steps out onto the sand and kind of readjusts her cloak and then walks up. Oh, Tiki-Tikas. It is so good to see you all again, safe and sound. We heard news of what had occurred in Nuevia, and we were quite concerned that our deal might fall through, but good to see that you've all made it.
Yes, we are also glad that we survived and that Nuevia is okay.
Yes.
And that our deal can go through.
Well, it will be interesting to try to reset up, smuggling lanes into a flying city, but we like a challenge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can figure it out, that's probably pretty exclusive access. If you figure that one out, so maybe we all win in the end.
Temple starts throwing.
Yeah. She kind of looked.
Why is Abel's mouth moving and no words are coming out?
This is me on Abel's arm, just like.
She looks out at the jungle before you. I assume you've been here a few days. Have you done any reconnaissance with the area? Do you know where we are heading?
Josh, are we doing a reconnaissance?
I don't think so.
We were okay. Messing around with magic.
We were waiting for you to show up.
Yeah, honestly, we were waiting on you guys for this one.
Oh.
So we had a bit of a trying week. Been just kind of emotionally, physically recovering from that. So, but now we're great. Now we're ready to work.
Well, then you are all rested for the work ahead. Has there been any sign of wildlife or potentially dangerous fauna that we should keep an eye out for as we set up camp?
Not that we see.
Not here on the beach.
Oh, good.
But lots of good clams. You can ask Kaimana where to grab.
Me thinking about Little Saurus and not saying.
She kind of looks back for a moment and then says, Misty, and let's see, Griphook, go ahead and set up over. And she kind of references to an area above the tide line. I assume you do not want to start the journey until the morning, but we are, of course, ready to go tonight if you'd like.
I look at the group.
Maybe scout the area tonight, because that was an interesting question about flora and fauna, and then actually enter in the morning.
Now, Marlowe and Jury, because of your flying missions, you do have a general understanding of the temple structures that are on the island. You could see them like off in the distance. And Marlowe, based on your understanding of transport through, especially a wild growth area, you think it's probably about a 7 or 8 hour trek through the jungle, based on the distance.
Okay. I will relay this information.
Well, if you are interested in doing some reconnaissance work, Misty, would one of you like to join Misty in doing that?
I'll help.
And the tabaxi steps forward. The moment you say "as do I," she says, "Also, Eliana." And Eliana steps forward. She's maintaining balance.
Yeah. She's trying to be outnumbered.
Yes. And
Kaimana's like half a person.
Yeah.
But you're a spellcaster, and they know you're a spellcaster.
And yes.
We fought with one of them. So she knows.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
she knows what we're capable of.
The landing crew that is here, you recognize Arian Squall-Eater. Ilwarin is here, but she's definitely keeping her distance. Like when Griphook went to go set up camp, she immediately walked with him to go do that. She's the one that almost got sort of
she's
killed.
the guilty party.
And then Misty is the tabaxi, and then Eliana is the navigator who you rescued. So she is the tall Triton figure, bluish skin and kind of like a coif of like teal hair, in a very dapper looking like seaman's cloak or coat. And they step forward.
I thought it was muted.
See, just covered in semen.
What kind of trip are you thinking about?
They're sailors. And
they're mostly lesbians. Is there?
All right.
Is Ronnie's other character here?
So you do notice that Ravik is not present.
Yeah.
You see Darian kind of walk up to Arian, and Arian says, Darian, you need to make your way back to the vessel. Currently, there's not a lot of leadership at present, but the ship is yours until I return. And Darian kind of nods, and then he heads back towards the rowboat, and with a little bit of help from Ilwerin, puts it back in the water, and you just see him solo rowing back towards the ship, very sadly. But Darian has made his way. Arian kind of says, well, while the others are scouting, I suppose that we should let's make a dinner that we can all share together before our excursion tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right. So Kaimana and Saurus, along with Elian and Misty, you've got about an hour and a half or so of daylight to explore into the jungle and just kind of scout things out. Do you want to travel deep enough that you'll be coming out in dark, or do you want to go in only so deep that you still have daylight on your return?
We can find our way back in the dark.
Okay, cool. So as you hit the tree line,
and
go ahead.
one thing, we're probably going to look for trails or paths, whether there were once human or they're game trails, so that, because Kaiman and I can travel easily through the difficult terrain, but the others might not. So.
Right. Okay. All right. So as you hit the tree line, there's a very clear divide between the tree line and the beach. There's a little bit of scrub and brush that slightly X out into the sandy area, but it's almost instantaneous, just tall palm trees and some thicker trunked, almost like cinnamon tree type trunks that shoot up into the air. But it's almost like a wall of vegetation that hits you, and then there's a lot of vines and things on the ground. Go ahead and make a perception check, either Saurus and Kamana, and you can make one separately and then try to help each other. It's completely up to you.
I am going to. You said perception?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to make the check. Saurus, you want to help me out?
I've got plus 11, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'll help you with the perception. I thought +8 was good, but
and it is.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing because one of my rolls was a natural 1.
Oh.
And the other was a 16, so that's a 27.
Okay. And then adding that to Misty's 24. As you approach the line, you're trying to find like what you think might be the easiest path in. And you see an area, you quickly find an area where there's slightly less vegetation, maybe a place where animals maybe come out to the beach or something, like a small game trail. And you head in, and immediately like the sounds of the tides almost like dampen just with the wall of vegetation surrounding you, and you find yourself in a very shaded, with the sun dipping below the horizon, or starting its progress towards dipping below the horizon. Like it's almost like twilight under the branches already, because of the dense canopy above you. But deeper into the woods, you now begin to start to hear like the soft sounds of jungle birds and distant things maybe crashing through the brush, and you kind of are making your way through, and it's about the first 150 or so feet into the woods where you notice like you step down, and instead of stepping onto brush, you hit like a stone, and you look down and there is a paver stone, cracked and broken with age and time. But clearly there is a path that was set in this jungle that has been overgrown. And so you can spend the remainder of time trying to plot out that path, and try to see as it follows deeper into the woods, or you can explore otherwise.
let's check the path out.
Okay, good. You want to try to follow the path? We'll go with our first roll there for the first bit of space. So the first 30 minutes or so of travel. And it's slow going because clearly there's been a lot of overgrowth over time. But as you're kind of walking through, you notice that you start to see in the patterns of the tree growth that while there's heavy tree growth everywhere, you start to be able to pick out the weird spacing between trees. And when you find that location, you kind of scrabble through the brush a little bit and you're starting to notice more of those pather stones. And you start to kind of plot out this weaving path that seems to be going away from the beach deeper into the woods. As you get to the end of that first 30 minutes is when you see your first potential pitfall or issue.
Oh, it sounds. What could it be?
You see fairly close to the path, in the lee of one of those large cinnamon trees, you see these weird mushrooms. And as you get closer, you step down on one of the paver stones and it's just covered with these branching mycelium. And then the moment you touch them, you can see this shutter go back to the mushrooms and they begin to shake. Misty takes another, she doesn't step forward, but
I would like to stop Misty from moving forward.
She takes a sword and just kind of hits the mycelium again. And you see the shutter go forward and all the mushrooms shake again.
Can I make a nature check?
Yeah, go ahead. With advantage, because this is kind of similar climate and biome to what you're used to.
20.
Also, we've seen scary mushrooms before.
Yeah. These are you recognize probably not exactly the same species, but very similar. That these are not parasitic. These are cannibalistic mushrooms, and they have a tendency of putting people to sleep, and then the mycelium grows over them, and they absorb the nutrients from them.
I will explain this in a whisper. Is there any other way around these guys?
You've noticed where they are. They tend to live in the shadows of these larger trees. And so if you move, you'd have to move off the path off to kind of the right hand side, but you could make a wide enough berth that you would escape from the mycelium on the ground.
I will do that.
Okay. All right. So you lead the path around and you keep going. For the next 30 minutes of the journey, go ahead. Kaimana, you roll with advantage on a perception check, and I'll have Misty do the same here.
20.
Misty rolled a natural 1 and a natural 3. So she's really bothered by the mushroom, and she's like, are you telling me that the mushroom will eat me if I fall asleep underneath it?
Well, not right away.
So it's a slow process.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be comforting?
No. You wouldn't be awake for it, so it's not bad, but you definitely wouldn't live.
Eliana goes, are they weak to anything? Could we clear a path with them?
You kind of want to just leave those alone.
Well, follow your lead then. And they kind of keep going. All right. So for the next 30 minutes, the sun is dipping a little bit lower. The light is a little bit lower in the sky. It's harder to find your path. So it's slower going.
And Josh, I will have done some markings on the path so that if we're coming back in the middle of the night, we don't accidentally stumble onto some of the mycelium.
Absolutely. So you mark those dangerous zones. Perfect.
I will also say I've got Pass Without a Trace up. Right.
Fantastic. If you feel the need to roll stealth, then you've got that. So you keep going. It's a little bit slower going for the next 30 minutes, but you re-find the path and you're kind of following it along. With a 20, you do notice another potential danger that's coming up. There's a section of the path that seems to have been washed out in a flood. And there's just this area of kind of like muddy expanse that separates, like it looks like it tore down from a higher elevation in the island and just like cleared out a section of this tree line. And and you can see the shattered and broken remains of palm trees and sticks kind of sticking out of it. It looks like a relatively simple, muddy expanse, but the moment you go to step on it, Kaimana, you take a step back, realizing like that you're dealing with a wash of quicksand.
How wide is it?
About 20 feet.
Hang on. I will jump across it.
Okay.
It is exactly my length, so I get a running start and monk my way. And actually, I just run across it because
you can run over water. So you kind of see, and it's like the Newtonian liquid, where as long as you're moving across it fast enough, it's like it maintains a solid feature. And then you all just see kind of like the ripples with each step from Saurus as he hits this slightly liquid, slightly solid mass, and then you arrive on the kind of the dirt on the other side, Saurus.
I look at Misty. Do you think you can make it?
I tie off a rope and throw it back over.
Okay.
So that can be tied off so that you can basically hand over hand if you need to, or I could even throw a second one so that we could.
Okay. Misty.
Whatever you think, Kaimana.
Takes it and ties it high, so it's taut and high and just kind of like up so that people could be above the mud.
Do you think the sailor knows how to tie a knot? Sorry. I'm so sorry.
A very good knot. And so then Misty does take a running jump, and you see she kind of like flips in the air and then like lands with on the dust on the other side and like skids to a halt. Eliana slowly making her way across. And then Kaimana, you can skim her across as well, pretty simply.
I am going to, as a joke, intentionally fall off halfway through, make a big show of going down, and then Misty step the rest of the way.
So Kaimana appears next to you, Saurus, and he is covered in mud from head to toe, which is really great.
I don't say anything.
Because Saurus, immediately you start to feel the presence of like bugs, and they don't seem to be bothering Kaimana, but they are swarming around Misty and you and Eliana. The beauty of this, Saurus and Kaimana, is that neither of you are susceptible to disease. These two are. All right. So as you're going for the second 30 minutes, you are plotting out this path, and you seem to be, there's a couple places like where that mud flow was, where the path was completely lost, and you lost a little bit of time trying to find where it reconnected on the opposite side of the mud flow. But then you make your way a little bit deeper in. So for the last 30 minutes before you begin your trek out, make another perception check, Saurus, and then you can use advantage.
13 plus 11, so 24.
24, and that's a 20 from Misty. So you refine the path and you're following through. There's a moment as you're trekking through that you like step and you hit like a branch and it cracks, and then you hear the flutter of birds that just burst from the tree canopy and fly off into the distance. And you kind of stop for a moment, wondering if maybe that alerted anything around you. But it slowly kind of quiets back down to silence. And then you keep trudging forward a little bit further. And let's see. Yep. So as you are kind of continuing to trudge, what's your passive perception, Saurus?
20.
20. So, and Kaimana? Your sound went out, so Kaimana.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. 18.
18. Okay. So as you are kind of trudging through, Misty kind of puts a hand out, Saurus, and touches you, which is like, she doesn't know you, but she pushes a hand down. And she kind of stops you and tells you to get down for a moment. And she just holds a hand over her paw, or a paw over her face.
Stealth.
Go ahead and make stealth checks. With add 10 for pass without a trace.
Can I get additional bonus because I am covered in mud?
Sure, you can roll with advantage.
And I rolled a natural 3, so that's a 22.
Natural 3 is a 22.
Yeah, +9 for stealth, and then +10 for combiners.
27 from me.
Eliana, that's a 36, and for Misty is about as close to a 40 as you can get. And so you just see kind of Misty like slide into a bush, and like the natural coloring of the tabaxi just vanishes, and you can just see like the glowing kind of yellowish of her eyes. Not Elwarren, this is Eliana, like kind of like passes down, and it's almost like her color changes to a darker, like a stealthy shape as like a spell passes through her, and they're kind of sitting there. And that's when you start to hear like something was clearly attracted by the sound of those birds flying away. You start to hear like as something is coming through the woods. And then a moment later, you see like this like large face kind of pop out onto this relative like path area, and then a step and a step. This is a very large, like a boar. It is at least a head and shoulder taller than Saurus. Thin, matted fur, enormous tusks, like red eyes. And it's sniffing in the area. Let's see if it notices you. Okay. And it kind of trudges for a moment and like snudges down onto the ground. And you see it like unearths like this mushroom, and the mushroom like releases a cloud of dust in its face, and it just kind of and then it like gobbles the mushroom down, and then keeps trudging off, and you wait about 10 minutes or so as it continues on through the forest and disappears off into the distance, and you stop hearing its movement through the trees.
I'm kind of hungry.
I wonder what kind of mushroom that was.
It looked different than the one that was the sleeping mushroom earlier. Kaimana,
so.
Yeah, Kaimana, you recognize is like to humans or to humanoids would be a very poisonous mushroom.
When was the last time you had boar?
I don't think I've ever had boar.
Oh, it's really good. We had luau's where I was from. They were really, really tasty.
Misty
We're
kind of
gonna
says,
need our help though.
Could the four of us drag that thing back to the sand?
No, I'm saying when we come back later, we have a party.
Oh, okay.
Barbecue would be fun.
Yes.
Maybe after we finish things up as a celebration.
Yes. You want to keep going?
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of rise. Are you breaking stealth, or you just continue? Are you just
stealth?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you maintain your stealth, and you're moving through. For the final bit of your this last 30 minutes, at the tail end of it, Saurus, as you guys are getting to the point where you feel like the sun is now so low in the horizon that probably on the beach it's still sunlight, but here it feels like nighttime. And you're just on the point of like whether or not you're deciding that you're going to make another trek through, when, thanks to your high stealth, it didn't notice you. You see something like leap from one tree branch to another, a large shadow, like moving in the direction that the boar was moving. And you stop the group again, Saurus, and you look up and you see a large displacer beast, bounding through the forest as it's like hunting probably the boar. And it didn't notice you, thankfully, because of your very high stealth rolls.
I let the guys know.
You get the sense that as nighttime is falling here, the predator prey are coming alive in the jungle.
Oh, we should probably leave now.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So for the return trip, because you marked it, you don't have to make any perception checks to follow the path. You have to make a choice, though. Are you going to move stealthily back through the forest, or are you going to make your way just following the path?
I think we stealthy at least through the boar area.
To the other, the other side of the mud.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Okay, so that'll slow your return. So it was an hour and a half in. It's going to be another 2 hours out because you're slowing the 30 minutes of travel. You don't have to make any kind of constitution checks, thankfully, even though there are bugs flying around you and biting you, because neither of you are susceptible to disease or poison. But let's see how Eliana and Misty are doing. Okay. And so
I
eventually
use my lightning jujitsu fist too.
But you make your way back through, having marked those territories and avoiding any of those dangers and kind of sticking close to your path. You did not find any buildings, temples, anything like that. You feel like you maybe plotted out the first couple hours worth of the journey, and that there's, according to Marlowe, at least 6 or so more hours of the journey ahead of you. But as you're making your way back through the jungle, back on the beach, beach crew, Griphook and Ilwarin have set up camp over there, and Griphook has busted out like all of these food rations and cooking utensils. What are you all doing as Griphook begins to prepare a meal for everybody?
I'm gonna ask him if he needs help or if he wants me to go forage anything else for it.
Are you really well versed in like local fauna and what might kill us if we eat it?
No, that was the little one.
Oh, well then, no, you can chop vegetables then.
Okay, I'll chop the vegetables.
Right. He like hands you a cutting board and like throws all kinds of root vegetables and things your direction as he gets his pot ready to start adding materials into it.
I'm gonna be super helpful because I do not want to be talking.
What the rest of you doing?
What's the captain doing?
So Arian is kind of where they've set up place. She kind of has a table there, and she's making note, like in her captain's log, of like the day's journey and the location and the plotting out the work that they've done that day. And she's got like a bottle of whiskey, and she's poured herself a glass.
Cool. I'm gonna slide over there. That sounds way cooler.
So as she's like making notes, she kind of like, you start to approach, and she just kind of glances up, and she looks back down, and she continues to write. But as she's writing, she just reaches over, grabs another glass, sets it down, pours a drink, sets it aside.
Cool.
Don't skulk in the shadows. Join me, please.
Yeah. No. Thank you. So, have you given any more thought to the things that we talked about last time we saw each other?
She kind of drinks for a moment. Well, I have every intention of still seeing the job through, if that's your question.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. Can I be super real with you?
I prefer that you do not lie.
Great. I'm terrible at it anyway, so you probably know if I tried to. That what they're asking for, they are going to take that and combine it with Naginda and make a very evil man a god.
So are you saying that we should just throw these tide bonds into the ocean and wash our hands of it and walk away?
No, I'm just saying that like maybe we shouldn't like go through with this to an extent, and then maybe if you just look the other way and we run off. Like some kind of deal here where no one gets killed, but also a man does not become a god and destroy the world.
Well, it seems to me that your desire is to awaken Naginda. Perhaps if you, with the help of the Seablade crew, our only role is to unlock the city. And I am to go to make sure that the library is still present. That is all. With our assistance and help, your journey through and to the city may be more expedited, so that you could accomplish your task before we send word that the city is open. We can delay that message as long as is necessary.
That sounds excellent. And I realize that this might be a lot to ask of you, and I very much appreciate any assistance that you're willing
to give. I must maintain my professional stature, and I would not do anything that goes against the contract that I was assigned, but what you are asking me to do does not.
Perfect. Love that for us.
We can assume that a debt is paid then.
Yes. And I'll just kind of raise my glass to her.
She chinks the glass with you as well.
Cool, sick. All right.
Jerry's chopping vegetables, watching you I think it's going well.
Yeah. She kind of goes back to writing.
Hey, when's the full moon? I just thought about writing.
It was a new moon the second night, or the night before you left Nuevia. So you have about 2 weeks.
Perfect. Love that.
Awesome. But as she goes back to writing, and then she kind of closes the book. I do not want you to think that I am a monster. I have no love for Ahriman or for what the Tide Waters have become. But money is money, and it would take much to talk my crew into abandoning a mission or turning away from a vast amount of coin. But I do not like either of these people.
I don't think you're a monster, and I know my unsubtle friends may act like they think ill of you, and you know what, they probably do, but it's...
I'm gonna roll to look pleasant. What is that, charisma?
I'm going to roll to look pleasant.
I feel like that's you. That's a deception.
Sure. I rolled great. I rolled a 19. No, wait, a 29.
A 29.
That's a little lad.
Wow.
Finally rolled well for once in my life.
With a plus 11 to insight, you beat Ari in score.
I look
like pleasant.
Like
yeah.
Mm-hmm. It comes off too well. You appear disingenuous.
But I vegetables. I look great.
But I'll just go. I don't begrudge anyone for doing what they need to do to survive.
Yes. Well, I will say that I have not been told that you are to die, so I see no reason why we cannot work amiably towards a mutually beneficial conclusion.
I love hearing that we're not going to die. That's cool.
Well, at least not by our hands.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised at how often it is. Yeah, people try to kill us. Everywhere we go, all the time. So, it actually feels great when someone just straight up is like, I'm not going to try to kill you right now.
You are not persuading Arian, but I need you to make a persuasion check with advantage.
Okay.
That good old Mar charm. Let's go.
Oh, wait, that's actually kind of good. Do I have anything? Why would I have anything? My Christmas is fucking 18.
18. She's kind of listening
Rolled
to
an
you
18
for a
and a
moment.
1. So,
Yeah, she's listening to you for a moment. She's like, from one captain to another, I have personal reasons why I would like to see the library. Those are taking somewhat of a front seat in my decision to continue. I could have sent Darian as the landing crew. You've heard of the Library of Azalor, haven't you?
Yeah.
It can tell you things.
What are you looking to be told?
Well, I suppose when we find it, I will know.
Are you sure that that's a safe thing to look for?
I mean, it will not bring about the end of their world.
And that's a big accomplishment these days. So,
Purely personal.
Yeah, understandable. And I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for.
And I hope that you find what you are looking for as well.
Thank you.
And as long as our paths are moving along the same road, I will watch your back.
And I've got yours.
Good. She pours another very fine whiskey.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll just chill with Arian for a little bit here.
Abel, what are you up to?
I think Abel's going to sort of walk the beach a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Helm of Telepathy in a 30-foot range,
Okay.
I'm going to scan the jungle line for any thoughts using the detect thoughts feature.
Okay.
But periodically, I'm also going to be detecting the surface thoughts of all of the crew that are on the beach with us.
Okay. So
specifically when Miss Squall Leader talks about their personal interest in the library, I kind of want to see if I can focus in on that.
Okay. So as you're kind of walking, make a perception check. This is not like, do you hear the sounds? This is, do you walk the right locations at the right times in order to overhear anything?
Oh.
So 17 plus something. Hold on.
It was over a 20. All right.
19, actually. 19.
Oh, it's 19. Okay. So as you're walking, first, like, Ominira joins you, and is kind of walking along with you, and she's like, could potentially, Abel, that you do something that could perhaps prevent the sand from getting into my feet? And you can see, like, she lifts up her feet and you can see where the sand just kind of like goes through like the joints within her mechanical construction.
Yes. I'm going to, in the bag of holding, at one point when we were in Broadfield, I had like people just give us a bunch of scrap.
Yes.
I'm going to see if, I'm going to let Amanera look through and see if there's anything in there that she wants to use for boots or sandals or anything like that.
Okay, so she kind of reaches in and she's like grabbing whatever, and like she pulls out these like red like bedroom slippers.
You could wear those if you would like.
These are very pretty.
it may be a bit difficult to stay on your feet, but if you enjoy them,
I would give it a try. And she kind of bends down and puts them on, and then continues walking with you. And
I would die for her.
But the first person you come across is Ilwarin and Tirame. She's kind of sitting at the far edge of the encampment, and she seems to be whetstoning her blades and kind of cleaning her armor and preparing it for the next day. And she kind of nods as you walk past and then kind of goes back to her work. And just the general kind of surface level thoughts that you get from her are basically counting and taking an inventory of things and what needs to be going, because I have to make sure that people are safe. I have to make sure that people stay safe. And you can sense that there's like a sense of like an element of like potential guilt on in the intonation going through her brain. You keep moving down, and you come across Grip Hook cooking, and he is kind of searing some meat in a pot, and then adding vegetables, and the aroma is kind of filling the space, and then tossing in some aromatics and things, and then eventually topping it off with some broth and letting it all simmer as he begins to prepare some like mashed plantains for almost like a plantain mash. And as he's making this, the thought going through Grip Hook's head is, it's really hard to find good work these days. No one can wield a knife the way you need them to. And he keeps looking at Jury, who's cut like vegetables in like 17 different shapes, like none of them consistent. Like,
can I roll to see if I'm cutting them well?
Sure.
No, wait, Jury's not cutting them well. No. I'm not going to pretend that's happening. Wait a minute, we're not going to roll. Yeah, he sucks.
And then you briefly catch the surface thoughts of Juridan, which are, yeah, see that? You can't tell that I'm pissed at you. And then like that just keeps going through.
Jury's like, I haven't made food that wasn't a peanut butter sandwich in 4 years since I left home.
All right. But around that time, you kind of close in on where Arian and Marlo are, and Arian is mentioning the library. And the only surface thought you get from her, because even when Arian is, it's hard to guard your thoughts, but Arian guards everything. And so the thought that you get from her as she's talking about that are, perhaps she's still alive. And then you keep kind of moving down the beach. And you keep kind of walking past where the firelight and the torchlight is, and you kind of find yourself on the darkened beach, the stars above you, the dark mass of forest to the left of you, wind gently kind of whipping through the trees. And it's just at the point where you're about to turn back and walk that you hear like, meat. And then whatever it was like gets out of distance as it scurries back off into the jungle. Meat.
Oh, meat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will bring to the attention of the rest of the group. There may be something in this direction that we want to keep our eyes out or peeled for. I sense perhaps something hungry in that area.
Can you tell Nancy to watch out for something?
While
we're hanging out?
I don't want Nancy to get hurt.
He can fly.
I don't want him to get hurt either. Yeah, he can fly high up.
I will tell him. Oh yeah, I'll have Nancy fly up higher and see if he can see anything from like just over the treetops.
Okay, like looking down through the canopy of the trees. Yes. Make a perception check with disadvantage, because I don't believe that Anansi has dark vision. Does he have dark vision?
He does.
Okay, then make a straight roll.
Let me double check. So I'm pretty sure. And he has like plus something to perception. Funny meeting you here. Sorry. Yeah, he has dark vision and plus 4 to perception. Be true to your heart. 19.
I love you so much.
Plus 4. It just, I'm thinking like, isn't that the song from
Hercules?
Oh, was it Hercules? I thought it was.
Oh wait,
Tarzan.
it's from what?
Is it not Tarzan?
True to your heart, you got
That's
to true to your
also
heart.
Tarzan.
And then the heavens will part, and they will shower you with. No, that's Hercules.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Open your
I was thinking.
Are you thinking of "You'll Be in My
Yes,
Heart"?
You'll
from
Be
Yes,
Tarzan?
that's from Tarzan.
No, I was
Yes.
thinking the song "Be True to Your Heart" was on the Tarzan soundtrack, and I'm thinking, all the jungles made me think of Tarzan. Then it made me think of that song that I thought was from.
No, you just
Okay,
sang the closing song to Hercules. So,
Is it? Okay, I'm
yeah.
No, that's not Hercules. That's
Is it not Hercules?
Mulan.
Oh, it is Mulan. Yes, sorry.
Is
Yes,
it
it's the
Mulan?
closing. It's the closing song of Mulan. Yes,
I got
yes.
all my Disney songs.
It's like
mixed up,
Stevie
man.
Wonder, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's the end when Mushu goes back to the people and they're having the big like
Yes.
celebration. Yes.
Yeah.
We are getting
Um,
so copyright strikes for this.
It was not even 2 seconds of. the
Yes,
song.
that's okay. That is, we recreated it for
Release.
ourselves. All right. So you, looking down through the tree canopy, it's really difficult for Anansi from high up to like see what's happening down beneath all of the tree branches.
Any movement, I'll have him get a little bit closer just to inspect.
Okay. So Anansi kind of like flies down over the canopy a moment. It sees kind of like a darting movement within the trees and like kind of flies down a little bit closer. And then a bird like flaps up right past Anansi's face and disappears off into the distance, but doesn't see anything else.
Okay, I'm just gonna have him for the rest of the night, really just flying along that tree line, along the beach, just kind of keeping an eye out.
Okay. All right. Any
He
other
doesn't have to worry about exhaustion or anything like that, so he's good.
All right. About 30 minutes later or so, Soris, Kaimana, and Misty and her name is always escaping my brain.
Eliana?
No, Eliana, make their way out of the tree line. And around that time, Griphook has served you all a delicious mofongo, and like has formed these mashed plantains into like bowls and filled them up with this like stewy consistency. And said, "You want to eat up and get a full night's rest before we all go out there tomorrow. Who knows what we might be facing in the woods."
Thanks, Griphook. This is amazing.
This looks
Who wants
delicious.
to
Thank you
pair up
very much.
for night watch? One of us, one of you, for each shift.
Ariana says that would be perfectly all right.
Yeah.
With Abo's notification that we potentially are being watched along the beach, I would prefer not to become anyone's breakfast in the morning.
Absolutely. To that, I will take the first watch.
And Ilwarin, because you are the only person that was not awake when she allowed Soris to die, goes, I'll take first watch as well. Ilwarin is from Azalor. I'll take first watch as well. And she kind of steps forward. She'd been kind of sitting out of the light a little bit.
Do I know that she's from Azalor? I don't think I would have.
No, because I don't think you met her before you were taken. So yes, you do. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Have we started our watch?
Well, she kind of sets off to the side and kind of takes a torch and sets it down in the sand a little bit away from everybody else. And she plops there a little bit and is keeping a wide view on the shore, on the tree line. Anybody else doing anything before you all go to sleep?
Can I talk to the captain for like 1 second?
Sure. She's just finishing up her dinner.
I'm like, hey, I magically came upon 10,000 counterfeit gold, and I don't really have like a use for that. But if y'all wanted to use it to specifically fuck over rich, horrible people, that's like my whole gig. So if that's something you could use, you all are welcome. I really don't need 10,000 counterfeit gold.
She kind of just looks at you for a moment. Does it at least look like... I'm messing with 7,000 different accents right now. Does it at least look like... is it passable as potentially real gold?
I think if I remember right, it doesn't pass like close inspection, but on like a glance.
So you kind of take out a piece and show her,
and it has that guy's face on it.
Right? You are giving this away for free?
Yeah, I have no use for it, so, and I don't want to carry it around in my bag of holding, really.
She flips it over to you and like has you catch it. Was it heads or tails?
Hold on, I have a D1 somewhere.
You know, if you were fooling someone, you could fill a chest most of the way up with the counterfeit and then put a few real one over the top.
It's a good strategy.
Okay. Heads is 1. It's heads.
What was this? does that also make like a sound?
No, it's not my dice. I don't know what
was that Sully and her tree?
Sully.
Sully liked to be
it's like perfect timing.
Sully was like,
she goes, well, who am I to turn down a bit of good luck? I would prefer not to take it now, but when we are done with all of this, I would be happy to take it off of your hands.
Perfect. That would be fantastic for me.
But keep that one. It seems like it is in your favor.
I could use a little bit of luck. Thank you.
Of course.
Josh.
Yes.
Do any of these people use two-handed heavy weapons, like if they would want a great sword that I'm really trying to get rid of?
As you're asking me that, Marlowe just is like glancing around and just turns around and watches as Griphook picks up the gigantic iron like thing that he had made the soup in and picks it up and like carries it over and sets it down in the sand to begin the process of cleaning it out.
I'm a saddle over to Griphook. Hey.
Did you like the mofongo?
Yeah, it was great. You're really talented.
I'm not actually the ship's cook. That's the other guy. But, you know, when he's sick or when, you know, I don't like what he's cooking, I
well, I have a hard time imagining anyone being better than you. But...
He's not. But it's his job.
Right. Okay, well, then... I'm sure you are a man of many talents.
Can you give me a hand with it? Hand me that soapstone, please.
Yeah.
And he just like sticks his head in, and you hands the soapstone, and he's scrubbing.
What is it that you wanted to talk about?
So I have this stick-ass sword, and I pull it out of my bag of holding, and am like very obviously like not able to hold it up. So I super don't need and cannot use this, and I just was wondering if you would like it. Because you seem like the only person around here who could kind of actually use this. Well,
are you giving this to me for free?
Yeah. Really trying to just pawn this one off, and honestly, I mean, if we're gonna go through a jungle together, might as well. Everyone.
He kind of pulls his head out of the soup bowl and he says, I'm not sure. I think you have to explain it to Mercy first.
What?
He takes his hammer off of his back and this giant hammer and slams it down on the ground. You gotta tell her that she's being replaced.
Hey, Mercy. You know, maybe you can just sit this one out for a bit. And you know, you seem like you've done a lot of really good work lately, so maybe you can just rest up and let another guy just handle it for a bit. Was that okay? Was that?
You actually talked to my hammer.
Yeah. When you said explain it to Mercy, I did what you said.
That's funny.
Well, listen, Griphook, I talk to my swords. You don't talk to your swords? That's your hammer? That's embarrassing for
Look,
you.
do your swords have a name that you gave them? And he kind of picks up the hammer and puts it back on his back.
No, they came with names already, and actually it would feel super disrespectful if I had no swords.
He takes the sword and kind of like lifts it up and hefts its weight and kind of is measuring it. He's like, oh, it's quite good. Mercy, we've been together for quite a while. Well, she can sit here and, okay. What does it do?
What do you think it does?
Well, it's other than cut things.
I mean, it's a really good one. I think this is like a plus like 1 or 2 greatsword.
I think it's a plus 2 greatsword.
Yeah, it's a sick ass greatsword.
Okay. He kind of like walks over to a tree and like hefts it for a second and then just slices, and you just see it like through the tree, and the tree and crashes down onto the sand. Oh, there were coconuts there. Would you like a coconut drink? And he like goes up to grabs the coconut and then like uses the sword.
Very much would, and I pick up a coconut.
He uses the sword and like cuts the coconut in half enough, and then he's like, "Careful when you open it, otherwise all the good stuff will get out."
Right? Yeah. I take it, but I don't drink from it. Well, Griphook, this has been something.
If you want to talk to Mercy again, she's right here.
No, I'm good. But you know what? Actually, bye, Mercy. It's been great talking to you.
So, as you're leaving, there's just like this like stony face, like giant half orc. He just like cracks like a half of a smile, like one like jagged like tusk like poking out. Cutie. And then he goes back to cleaning up after the dinner.
All right. Mm-hmm. I'm slowly winning over all these pirates, clearly. And then I go hand like the coconut off to Kaimana and then go to bed.
Fresh coconut, Kaimana.
Day's looking up.
The coconut is rolling up the hill. All right.
Covered in mud and eating fresh coconut.
Yeah, did Kaimana go swim and clean himself off? Okay, good. All right.
Jury saw him and was like,
"You are not coming on the ship like that.
Your muddy little paws, not in the dinner sand."
All right. So everyone bedding down for the evening except for Abel and Ilwarin. So everyone kind of makes their way to their separate sleeping places. Ominira, do you want Ominira with you, Abel, or not?
So I say again for me, please.
Do you want Ominira with you or not?
Ominira can hang out, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Ominira walks up and Ilwarin kind of looks oddly at her for a moment.
Does Ominira need sleep though? Does Ominira need to rest?
Nope. Warforged do not need to sleep. Although she will power down if you tell her to, and she can power down.
Let her make that decision for herself.
Okay. She kind of sits on the sand for a moment, and then you just see her kind of like she powers down, and her head kind of goes for a moment. And then Ilwarin is looking at her. She's not quite human, is she?
She is unique, just like the rest of our team.
Interesting.
We all have our attributes that are unique to ourselves.
You Azalorians come up, not you, you Nuavians come up with the most interesting of things.
Thank you. That is a compliment. Are you excited to return to your home city?
Not at all.
That's surprising.
What's surprising about it? I haven't been there in 200 years.
I would say most people are somewhat excited to visit their home where they grew up.
What's the longest you've ever been away from home, Abel?
I would say since I left for my studies, it's the longest I've ever the first time I've ever really left home.
And you had something to go back to?
Obviously, yes.
We don't all.
Are there no good memories for you in Asgore?
Sure, but when you're an elf, so much of life is about watching things die.
That is quite sad.
Yes.
I'm curious if Azalor holds such negativity for you. Why are you willing to go back?
Well, my share of 25,000 gold is pretty good.
Can I ask you something? And if it comes out a bit rude, may I apologize ahead of time?
Your reputation among the Seablades is quite clear.
Reputation? I thought we had a pretty good first interaction when you were kind enough to ferry us to the mainland, but...
Yes, but then you came along with all those ticket takers and had some high and mighty ideals about you.
I think I still had those ideals, but when you are stranded and shipwrecked, sometimes you're willing to put those aside.
Of course.
But my question is this. Is the payout the main focus for all of your crew? Or would knowing that your actions could lead to destruction or putting someone who would perhaps destroy the entire world in power, would that dissuade any of you from going through with your contract?
What makes you think that your friend Marlowe would let that happen?
From what I know about Marlowe and any of the ticket takers, we will do what we can to make sure that Azalor's secrets are not used to harm the world.
Of course, but the quickest way to make the quickest way to make that happen would be to not open the doors. Say we walk away, give you the stones, get on our ship and leave. You don't think that your friend is going to charge to those gates and open those doors?
I don't know if what information that is within Azalor should be locked away forever.
Well, better us than someone else be the first. Better you and your friends.
No. Our intention is not to simply open the door and leave it for anyone to waltz in and take advantage of the resources of Azalor. If we need to, we will defend what is inside with our very lives.
Well, I cannot promise the same from us. But if the money is right...
I believe you've answered my question.
Abel, I lived through the worst time that any has ever. I think I'm entitled for a little bit of rest.
I do not know your story yet. Perhaps you are. But if we are on this journey together, I believe that I am entitled to at least know where you stand.
Well,
is that not fair?
I march in the direction of Arian's Squall Leader, and as near as I can tell, she's marching step by step next to your friend Marla. So, as long as our paths are leading the same direction, I will protect you. Hopefully better than I did your friend.
Which friend?
Your friend Saurus. They didn't tell you?
No.
Oh.
What interaction did you have with Saurus?
Well, I was...
She didn't.
I was hired to go along with you all to help rescue Elian and Saurus, and you from whatever that creature was in Bogtown.
Oh yeah, you were there. I do recall, I believe.
Yes. Well, I was hired for healing, and I ignored a moment when I probably should have healed, and it cost your friend his life.
How was he saved? I was not informed of this.
I brought him back.
You resurrected him.
Yes.
Wow.
Your friends didn't tell you any of it.
They did not.
Oh. Well, I should have kept quiet then. So weird for them to hide it from you.
Perhaps they thought I would blame myself. They were on a mission to rescue me. If I was foolish enough to get captured, it would somewhat be my fault.
I know Elian, and she got captured. I'm sure it's not your fault.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know.
Of course. All right.
I'll just spend the rest of the...
Make a perception check.
+2. Hey, my rolly thing straight. Ooh, a 9, a 7 +2.
Oh, well, good thing, because Warren rolled a 22. Okay. So she's kind of scouting out. Oh, seems pretty quiet. I wish I could see the stars, don't you? She kind of looks up at the massive cloud above the island.
Yes, it would be a nice accompaniment to the sounds of the jungle.
Wow. All right. So your watch passes.
Yes, can I say really quick when I get up to trade off when Warren is not around, I'll rustle Alyria.
Okay.
Just let her know that our watch has ended. If they want to relocate or just stay here and rest. I want to ask a quick question. Is when we, without Warren around, when we reach Azalor, is there a way for us to store any of the knowledge, the books that we come across, perhaps inside of the puzzle box?
My capabilities for storing memory are not unlimited, but I can store much. If you were able to take books from the library and put them in the puzzle box, yes.
I'm not sure if the natives will be too happy about us taking the sacred text or their rare text from the actual city. I'm just curious about what knowledge we could bring back to Nuevia, and perhaps share between the two locations.
But from all that has been written about Azalor, they are very tight to the chest with their knowledge. I am sure that there are safeguards in place to prevent such actions. But we could always try.
Sometimes we can ask permission, sometimes for forgiveness. I guess we will see when we get there.
She gets up and walks with you back to your tent to power down for the rest of the evening with you.
Yep.
All right. Who is waking up for second watch? All right, Marlo.
Ooh.
I feel like Amanir is like taking an iPhone into the sacred library.
Yes.
Everything.
All right. So Marlo, you go out for watch to the kind of the torched area that Ilwarin had set up. And you're sitting there for a moment kind of by yourself. You're like, oh, they've just fucked off and not like kept up with watch for the evening.
That's fine. Preferable for Marlo, maybe.
Yeah. And then it's like just like 10 feet to your left, you see like a hammer just land. And then like Grip Hook comes out and like plops down next to it. Hi.
And that is
how watch.
I love him so much.
All right, go ahead and make a perception check.
It's like it's a good silence.
It's such a great silence.
Yeah.
Grip Hook appreciates it.
Me too.
That's a great perception check for Grip Hook because he has low perception.
I got a 23.
Nice. 16 for him. There is a moment around kind of like the halfway point of your watch, probably like 2 o'clock in the morning or so, when you do see some like movement on the tree line. But the moment they get close to it, whatever this is, the moment it gets close to any of the torchlight, it like turns around and runs back into the tree line. Guess we better keep the torches burning.
Yep.
Yep. All right. The watch passes. All right. Who do you wake up, Marlo, for the next watch?
Soris.
All right, Soris. This is the last watch of the evening.
Should be next to last.
Oh yeah, next to last watch. All right, Soris. So you head out, and he goes and wakes up Misty. And Misty comes out and just is kind of never sits down, but it just is standing there looking out at things. Go ahead and make a perception check, Soris.
I am rolling like crap. 16.
Well,
I think my highest roll is I've had 116 and then the next has been like 5.
That is better than Misty, so that's good. You're kind of looking out at the things, and the torchlight's beginning to sputter a little. And Misty says, "We should probably take care of that." Griphook said to keep the torches lit.
You want to light them, or you want me to?
I have the tools, and she kind of reaches into her pack, and she goes back
I light it using Druidcraft.
You cannot tell if she's impressed or not, but she does watch. And then she goes and she rewraps one of the torches, dips it into some oil that she's got, and then lights it on the sputtering torch and lights it there, and then puts out the other torch. What are you showing off?
Just something I've learned how to do, and was making sure I could still do it.
It seems like it's working well. What are you in a fight?
I hit things.
Ah.
I move really fast.
Ah. I stab them and move very fast.
Excellent.
She nods. All right. Last watch of the evening. Is it Kaimana or Jury?
Kaimana.
All right, Kaimana. You take the last watch, and
Jury is picked as the useless one.
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually want to make sure Jury gets full night's sleep, because Jury has some really useful spells that I think are going to come in handy.
I love you so
Not
much.
that Kaimana doesn't, but
I
also
think it's
with
funny
it
that
becoming-
everyone unanimously picked this.
Also, Kaimana is from the area, so if anyone's going to be aware of what tends to wake up first thing in the morning,
Oh,
it's
that's fine.
going to be
I just
him.
think I think it's hysterical.
All right. So Kaimana, you go out to your watch, and then there's a moment that passes where you're by yourself, but then Elian comes out, and the moment you see her, you see that like she's sweating. She's just kind of like, I'm not feeling all that great. It was a little difficult to wake up.
Can I make a medicine check?
Yeah, go ahead.
15.
She seems to definitely be, she has a fever. She's definitely under the effects of some kind of disease.
And I make like a quick poultice or like vitamin C or something like that.
I mean, it will have zero effect, but you're more than welcome to do so.
Mine's gonna make something like,
okay,
and give it to her.
Okay. She's like a fruit drink or whatever, and she like drinks it. Thank you.
Clamato juice.
Juice. And
a little coconut in it.
Okay, go ahead and roll a perception check. That was a natural 20, but she's at disadvantage. Okay.
24.
Okay. Nothing kind of the rest goes kind of peacefully. You don't see any movement or things. And just as like you start to see the sun beginning to rise in the horizon, she pulls out a lute and begins to lightly play it. And you feel the magical energy coming off of the lute and kind of emanating around the space as she's playing like a song of rest for her people. But you can tell that like she is not doing well.
Can I try healing word? See if that works.
Based on your medicine check, you understand that like a disease, like you would need a lesser restoration to cure a disease.
All right. I don't have that prepared, so.
But it is morning and you are preparing your spells.
Okay. I'm going to get it ready.
And it's a Kaimana being like, oh, she went into the jungle. She came out like this. Maybe it might be a smart idea.
Kaimana was like, oh shit, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, does that thing have any components? Let me see.
I think it's under a 3rd level, so you have components for that because of ransacking Praetor Yakuzi's thing.
It's verbal and somatic only.
Oh, good. That's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give her the old pachoo.
All right. The energy kind of washes through her, and she kind of. Was it the fucking mosquitoes?
Oh, the little nasties? Yeah, probably.
Oh, we have to go back into that today.
Yeah, maybe should have waited.
Well, I mean, once into the breach and once out again, I suppose.
Wait, did you have any? Were you sweating a lot?
Yeah, I was. I thought it was just the heat.
Well, I mean, before you went in the forest.
No.
It kind of like salt water sometimes.
Okay. I'll take a swim before the morning.
And rub some mud on before you go in. Like all of your exposed skin, or wear long sleeves. She
kind of looks down at like the beautifully elaborate outfit that she's wearing. I'll think about that.
Do you have some gloves or?
Yes.
Like a mask? Cover up as much skin as you can.
Okay. I'll take that under consideration. The sound from the as Griphook is beginning to prepare a breakfast, and everyone's beginning to wake up, the watch comes to a close. And with the morning of getting ready to set into the jungle for everyone, we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break really quick right there.
Thank you, Five.
All right. Thank you,
Five.
Thank you, Five.
So, after the break, so the ticket takers all awaken. You are provided with a breakfast meal by Grip Hook of delicious meats and fruits and potatoes and things. And then the Seablade crew begin to gather their things together for the excursion into the jungle. Anything you want to take care of before you all dive in?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Abel, are you taking Ominira with you or are you leaving Ominira behind?
I am going to the airship is nearby, right?
Yeah.
With the rats on it.
Yes.
I'm going to ask that Ominira stay behind and help the rats to take care of the ship.
I'm gonna sidle to Jury real quick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey,
What's up?
that mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work on people?
Yeah.
Can I borrow that for a sec?
Yep. I haven't used it yet today. I give it to you.
All right.
Thank you.
If you leave Ominira behind on the ship, Ominira will not go to Azalor with you. Is that what you want, Abel?
It's going to be so dangerous.
Okay. And
well, they might not want her there. They might clock her immediately too.
That's true. And she is a level 0 character with like 5 hit points. So
we may not want.
God. It's like taking my squirrel.
We may not want them to know about her either. Yeah. That knowledge in their hands as well. So
it might not either leave her on the ship because we kind of had sent the ship, if I remember correctly. Didn't we send the ship away so it wasn't like
no, ship's here right now with us.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get Pestle and Mortar to like do some like strength training with her.
That would be a great
so she's got something to do.
Yeah.
Well,
I passed the gauntlets of storm on to Mortar because I figure he's the one most likely to hit something.
Cute.
Sweet.
So awesome. Maybe I'll give them a few things to practice and train together, and anything the rats can think of to teach Ominira about combat or staying safe. They've experienced a bit of that themselves. So
okay. With that in mind, Abel, based on the back work that you did with Ominira on the travel down, that was focused on like personal relationship stuff. So go ahead and roll 4d6 and drop the lowest 6.
4d6.
Another stat.
Mm-hmm. Is there charisma?
This is charisma.
So. All right, make Uncle Jerry proud.
Wait, let me see. Hold on. Where's my thing? Did I X out of D&D Beyond? Fudge.
Where's your dice at?
I know. I just.
I understand. I don't have a bunch of D6s out.
I always got a shit ton of D6s.
Yeah, I do too.
I've got D20s.
I've got like all these different little.
D1. Oh, do you want me to roll for my sorcery stuff too?
Oh yeah. Go ahead and roll a D6 for me on this day. On this day.
On this day.
I'm just saying I didn't have a D6. That's funny.
On this day.
I rolled a 5.
A 5.
Uh-oh.
Why did you say it like that, John?
Jury, you wake up this morning and you feel like you are crackling with wild magic energy.
It's gonna be my city. It's gonna be my city. Shit.
Okay, I got 4d6.
All right, Ominira, make the uncle proud.
Big money, no whammies.
Watch this robot get like a higher charisma stat than me.
I mean, everybody loves R2D2.
Ooh, we got 2 6s.
What?
Let's go.
And a 1. So does that balance out?
I mean, yeah. What's the lowest?
You drop the lowest?
Drop the lowest.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the 1.
Yeah.
Yes. Obviously. Okay. All right. There's a 17, right? 2 6s and a 5.
Whoa!
A 17 charisma.
Makes them so charismatic, though. And can we switch these stats around? Because I don't. What makes a like automaton like so?
She's very charming.
She is.
Right
Also, with her able to disguise herself, she can make herself look like anything. So
Maybe she, I guess like
Also, I've been talking to her a lot about my feelings.
She can also, you can also make a choice here. Any of the charisma-based ability checks, you can take one as a proficiency.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll think about it.
And then we'll do the strength one when you return because Mortar and Pestle are working with her on her strength.
I legit feel like a father. Like I'm so happy. That's awesome.
All right. Okay, Marlo, you have the mirror in hand.
Mm-hmm. I just want to see if I think about Ahriman, what would happen. I want to see what that bitch history was all about.
All right, so
I want to know the gap. There's a very specific gap in this man's history that I want to know about.
So I believe that the way that the device works, the object or the person has to be present, but
it does not.
It doesn't.
Think about a creature.
It does what it says. Okay, cool. All right. So,
but it purposely says it's a minute long and it's vague.
It's vague. Yeah. So, all right. So you are thinking about Ahriman and you are kind of focusing down on it. And as everyone's gathering their things together and getting ready to head into the jungle, the cloudy surface of the mirror kind of begins to clear and becomes that translucent kind of screen almost into the past. And you see immediately just like a torrent of some kind of arcane energy splashing around, and it's just so bright that you can't see. And then it clears, and it's Ahriman flying in his dragon form over a battlefield, and you just see hundreds upon thousands of demons and devils clashing against armies of humanoids. And as his head turns, because you're kind of like seeing from his perspective to the left, you see another flight of dragons off in the distance, and they are crashing into creatures in the air and blasting them out of the air with their fire, with their breath of various different types. And then there's kind of like a moment where that image fades, and then they're charging forward again, and they're on the ground, and it's like the camera pulls back and you can see him, and he teleports, or he changes out of his dragon form, and he begins to summon a spell, and he blasts forward as this massive concussive blast of energy shoots across the battlefield, scattering devils left and right. But you can see the towering wall of the veil as it's inching forward. And he yells something, and he turns, and just like as he's turning and yelling, you see Persephone Mistweaver, or Lunaria. It's difficult to tell with the twins, and he's saying something to them, and she suddenly like points forward and looks terrified. And when he turns around, out of the fog cloud, you see this gargantuan shadowy drake figure like come out, and then like crumpled down to the ground and like released a blast of this shadowy miasmic energy in Ahriman's direction. He shields himself, then goes into full dragon form, and then tackles this creature. The two of them are tumbling and fighting. They end up flying into the air and tumbling, and they fall into the veil. And then the rest of the minute is just this scattering of images of, it's really difficult. It's almost like if you were doing like memory that is completely broken and shattered, and it is just darkness and terror and fear and somebody running for their life and somebody hiding and somebody camped out into a dark cave that they're constantly not sleeping because of the terrors that are trying to get and find them. And then the minute kind of fades, and you feel like you're seeing Ahriman trapped in the veil and the survival of him fighting off in the veil. But it was so dark and terrible and depressing and sad for him that those memories are shattered and broken.
So how was it?
That was fucked up.
What did you think about
Ahriman?
Shit, why is everyone doing crazy depressing shit in my mirror? I thought we would all like talk about gossip or something. I'm gonna do petty stuff with it specifically next few days.
Good for you. Thanks for lending it.
All right. All right. So you are all heading into the jungle. You'll, because of the way that the Tide Warders are kind of, or the Seablade crew are wanting to do this, it seems, you'll be going 2 by 2. So what is the marching order for the ticket takers heading through the jungle?
I will be first.
Okay.
Works.
Do we want Kaimana to be first since we've gone through this first section again, at least for this first section?
Okay. Second, yeah.
Okay. Kaimana, then Marlo.
In that case, I'll take up the rear
to
make sure nobody wanders off, since I also know the way.
All right. So then Kaimana, Mar, and then Jury, and then Abel and Saurus. Okay, cool. All right. So Kaimana Misty is next to you. Arian is next to Mar. Grip Hook is next to Jury.
Yay, my buddy.
Eliana next to Abel, and then Ilwarin pulls up the rear with Saurus. All right. So go ahead and make are we moving with speed or stealth through the first part of the journey?
Kaimana, I deflect you.
Speed until we get to past the mushroom patch.
Okay, cool. So for the first hour of the journey, Kaimana, go ahead and make a perception check, and Misty will as well.
Can Kaimana have advantage?
28.
Yes. Yeah, you have advantage.
Natural 20, 28.
Oh, nice. Natural 20 as well for Misty. 27. All right. So you move quickly through the first patch of the journey, and you know the path, you know the area. You've set up markers for dangers. You've set up the cross over the muddy section, and so all of that is easily. You cut your journey time through that first hour and a half or so down into an hour's worth of travel. And so you reach the end of that first section. You still have about probably 35 minutes of mapped area that you've already planned out. But with that in mind, yes, I need everyone to make a constitution check except for Saurus and Kaimana.
I was going to ask if I could spin.
I cannot believe this.
Did you get a 1, my friend? My very good friend, Ace, did you get a 1?
I changed out all my dice.
No.
You were rolling really well in these social interactions.
Yeah, you were doing so well.
I was doing really well. This is gonna break me mentally. Sorry, go ahead.
Hold on, let me find my D&D.
I'm gonna use my type of fate. Fuck that.
17. So Marlo, there are bugs that keep kind of like batting at you, but you're able to get them mostly away before.
I lived out in the wilderness for like 10 years. I think I know how to deal with bugs.
Yes, and so you are fine.
Pull up my start, pull down the hat.
Yes, you are fine. Abel.
Got 8 plus 6, 14.
A 14. So Abel, you are fine. Jury, that was a 1.
I used my Tides of Chaos and I rolled a 6. Cool.
Can I give them flash of genius? Like I see all the bugs, so
that takes them to a 12?
Maybe that would be good enough.
I start like waving my robes, kind of like shooing the bugs away from Jury.
And
since
that takes
he's right in front of me.
That takes him to a 12?
Yeah, I think it would, I guess.
Jury, you're okay.
12
is the DC for the bugs.
Cool.
Yeah.
Meets it, it beats it.
Yep. All right. Okay, so for the second hour of the journey, half of this will be mapped territory. The second half will be unmapped. So do you want to move with stealth through this, or do you want to move naturally?
Stealth now.
Okay, good. So everyone go ahead and make a stealth check, and then go ahead and make a perception check. Come on in with advantage.
And I've got pass up.
Okay.
For
this whole crew needs to roll stealth.
Saurus rolls a natural 1. You're not the only one, Ace. So that's a 10.
Marlo rolls a natural 1.
That's a 20 for
the two
stealth.
stealthiest members of the party.
And I rolled a 19.
Add 10 because the pass without a
To be
stretch.
fair, my
20.
natural one is still a 25 on stealth.
Oh my gosh.
Lord
With
Jesus.
pass without a trace. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I rolled a
I'm at
7.
20.
A 17. Okay.
Is that plus
29.
the 10?
Anybody get below a 10?
I rolled a 5 plus 2, which would be a 7. and
You
then
can't
plus 10.
you can't get below a 10, so you're
Yes.
so the average is above a 10, which is good. All right, let me roll some perception checks. Okay, cool. All right. So as you're moving stealthily through, this is going to slow your journey. So what would probably have been a 7 or 8 hour journey is going to be more like 10 hours with the or 10 or 11 hours with the stealthy movements. But you're moving through. What was your perception check, Kamana?
Stealth, you mean?
What was your perception check? For the second hour.
Perception is 23.
23. Okay. And that is a 22 for Misty. All right. So you are making your way through. You get to the point where you saw the boar come through, which was the full extent of your earlier trip. And so now you are in fresh new territory. So you're moving stealthily, which is helping because moving stealthy is slow enough that you can pick up the trail as you're moving versus trying to like kind of crash through things. And you're able to pick out the flagstones and elements that are leading you in the direction that you would like to go. It is at the end of that second hour where you find your first like object or thing that's not just flagstones on the ground. You see kind of this obelisk type structure sticking out of the ground and is got vines surrounding it. It's kind of, there's like a tree that's beginning to grow around it, like and subsume it. In the next 30 years or so, this will be completely vanished. But it has intricate carvings down the side of it that you can interestingly see.
Do I recognize the language?
Do you speak Aquan?
No.
yes.
Marlo does. Marlo, the language here says, those who walk the path to Azalor must, and there's parts of it that are kind of broken, and it says must something, the careful steps of the waves.
I look at Ilarwin.
Ilwarin, she kind of says, it's a warning about traps, I assume.
Cool.
Look out for water iconography, Kamana.
Huh.
All right. So for the third hour, Kamana, go ahead and make a perception check with advantage. Hope you're better than Misty. That was really bad.
Oh no.
19.
So you're following the path along, and it's the forest seems to be kind of closing in around you, but you start to find elements of this path that seem to be much better, in better shape. And there are whole 10 or 15 minute journeys where you can just kind of follow the path as it winds through the forest. With a 19, you get to a point where you get to a section where there are larger flagstones here. There are 9, and they are in a row, or sorry, 8, and they're in a row, 2, 2, 2, 2. And you can see that there are some of them that each one has different symbols on them.
Any of them water?
Yes. The first one on the left seems to be like a river or a stream. The second one, like up from there on the right, is a wave. The third one, you're not sure because it's a sun and a moon. And then the fourth one looks like a lake on the other side.
All right, I am only going to step on the water ones.
Okay, what do you do when you get to the third one?
It's a moon and what?
The sun and the moon.
Moon.
I was gonna say the moon's like tide.
Okay, so you step on the moon, and then you go from there. All right, cool. So you kind of hop from one to the next, and then you get past, and you get over to the other side.
I will say I'm going to leave a pebble in front of like every single one that we step on.
All right, and then you get over to the other side, and you kind of turn around to look at your friends, and you all can follow in Kaimana's footsteps, and carefully so that you don't have that. So finding the obelisk helped solve that one. All right. The next hour, go ahead and make another set of stealth checks for us.
Great dice. Listen for you.
I rolled a second natural one.
So did two of the Tide War, or two of the...
And I rolled it on my shadow dice, which is probably the problem because I'm not using the shadow. So.
Yep. Two of the Seablade also rolled a natural one.
But I'm still a 20.
All right, cool.
I rolled a 20.
All right. 20. Okay, cool. What was Jury? What was yours?
18.
With past choice, and then Marlo, you're probably 7,000.
34.
Okay.
34.
All right. So as you're making through here, Kaimana, go ahead and make a perception check against Kaimana.
Power levels above 9,000.
With advantage, you said?
Yes.
26.
Okay, and that is a 23 from Misty. There's a couple places where you start to see more of those mushroom growths, and you're carefully kind of like you're having to leave the path and skirt your way around them. You're very focused on that, but you are perceptive enough to hear the of a something striking out of the forest. Abel does a 22 hit.
Not if I shield.
You would not have seen it coming. So does a 22 hit?
Yeah, that hits.
Okay, cool. All right, Abel, you take 9 points of piercing damage, and go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw for me, please.
Oh no.
Sure. Can I use a reaction once I am hit?
Yeah.
Wait, where is my thing? Cause I'm weak. It was. Stop it. I'm trying to find my item that lets me do the reaction thing. Hold on. I don't remember what exactly it does. I just know that when I'm hit, I can react to it.
Well, you have the reaction for spells, and you have the reaction for when they miss you.
So that doesn't count.
Oh.
I don't think this one you can react. What was your Constitution saving throw?
Oh, sorry. Okay, wait. Hold on. Too much at once. Oh crap! Missed the thing. Now I'm nervous. I keep missing the spots. Oh, okay. It's cocked. Hold on. Fudge. A 5 plus. Okay. Ooh, it's an 11.
Okay. You take 17 points of poison damage, and you are considered poisoned.
Jesus.
All of you hear Abel like yell out as something strikes him. Saurus, you see sticking out of Abel's shoulder a dart, probably this long. Difficult to tell where it came from, but you hear like scampering in the tree branches as something is running away through the tree branches.
Could I have heard the direction and like be able to like track where it's going?
With your passive perception and your ability to hear with advantage on that, yeah, you can sense that it's going like it hit Abel and then it's darting deeper into the jungle in the direction that you are all headed.
Can I try to hit it with my crossbow that I've never used before?
Sure, you can't. So you can go ahead and make an attack roll with disadvantage because you can't actually see it. You're just basing it off of like hearing. That's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and see what happens. Oh, incredible rolls from me. I don't even have this thing equipped. Jesus Christ.
You would, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I just I mean, I guess it's a plus.
It would be plus your dex.
Okay, so that's
and your proficiency.
28.
Yeah, that hits.
No, 25. I'm sorry, with the disadvantage.
Yes, that hits.
Okay.
Let's go and roll damage. It's probably a D6.
Okay. I should equip this thing. Okay. Plus my dex.
Plus your dex, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a 10.
Okay, so Abel screams out. Marlowe pulls up a crossbow. You see, and releases the bolt. It flies through the forest like, and then hits something, and you hear, and it, whatever it was, like falls out of the tree and collapses into the ground under the tree where you hit it.
Oof. Well, damn. Never used that before. Just put it away.
Good aim. Yeah.
Thanks. You okay?
I think I am fine. I'll pull out the dagger that's infused with my 12 cure wound spells.
Okay.
And I'll cure wounds myself.
All right. It doesn't cure the poison condition, but you are healed. Yep. And you are poisoned for the next 3 hours.
Let me mark poisoned as a condition.
Can I go look at what that thing that I hit was?
Absolutely. So you kind of make your way.
I'm going to tag along.
Yep. You go through and you make a perception check for me.
Okay. Can I also do an insight check to see if the pirates thought I was cool?
Sure.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Perception is a terrible. I mean, an 8.
Okay.
And then the insight is, of course, that's going to be the high one. 26.
I mean, like a grip hook is definitely like.
Oh, that's all I wanted to do. Was grip hook.
You see grip hook and Jury like.
All right. So Marlowe and Abel, you trot off the path, like 20 feet or so off into the forest. You step around a tree. Marlowe, you hear a sound. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh my god. A 16.
Okay. You take 4 points of poison damage, but you're not considered poisoned. As one of the a poisonous mushroom just like on the side of a tree just released a cloud right into your face. But you step over and you kind of go through the brush and you see like the blood, which is it's like a purplish color, and you find the creature. It is the easiest way to describe it is if you took a snake, put arms and legs on it, and then like wrapped a loincloth around its waist, like this small, like minuscule creature,
cute.
Of this like cobra, but with arms and legs, like completely unnatural. Not something that Marlowe would have ever heard about in all of Marlowe's readings. This is a creature that does not exist as far as your knowledge goes.
Does not look cute to me.
Well, no, Mar would not think this is cute. I like weird little creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would have the blow dart stuff on it.
Yes.
Does it have anything else?
It has a blow dart and it has a small dagger. Okay, that looks like it's made of bone, like maybe boar tusk or something like that.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna take the blow dart.
Okay.
Just for fun.
All right. You have a blow dart and you have 6 poison darts.
Cool.
Although it's more like a straw, given how big these things are.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's like a little blow dart. But yeah.
I was just gonna try to take the poison out of it because I alchemist and see what I could do with it. But
right.
Ooh, smart.
All right, but you make your way back to the group, and Aryan is like, I assume that we are not alone in this jungle then.
No, there are weird little snake creatures.
That's odd. And she kind of looks at Ilwarin, and Ilwarin goes, probably one of their little experiments.
Their little what does that even mean?
Azalor likes to mess around with nature.
Oh, perhaps
Any
Azalor is not
particular
exactly what
people
he
in
thought he
Azalor,
was.
or just Azalorians in general?
What's that?
Any particular Azalorian group, or just Azalorians in general?
The Sapphire Sanctum, for sure.
Okay.
Wizard.
Yes. And Kaimana, when Ilwarin says that, you remember a conversation that you had with Namayane Ula, in which she seemed to imply that the false Hydra that you fought was an Azalorian creation.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Azalor is a dark, dark history.
Wait. Hang on, everybody. I'm going to plug my ears real quick.
All right, I'll make the list. Run down. Look, it worked great last time.
All right.
It did work great last
Do
time.
I remember
spell
something
all of your
suddenly?
names?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So for the next, we'll say that the last 4 hours of the journey, we're going to do a series of kind of just skill checks rolls. And so based on Kaimana's perception, and then I'll ask you a task that might be completed, whether or not Kaimana spots the problem before you run into it. It is beginning to rain. And you hear like the distant sound of thunder, that there might be a storm moving across the island at this point. So Kaimana, go ahead and make a perception check for us.
Great. With advantage?
Yes.
28.
28. So you managed to dodge any flora or fauna issues. For the last 4 hours, I do need everyone to make another constitution check because you still are dealing with the insects with advantage, because Marlo has shown you the proper ways of covering your face and covering as much of your body as you can to protect yourself.
Disadvantage because I'm poisoned.
Disadvantage because you're poisoned, so it's a straight roll. Jury, you're already diseased, so it doesn't matter.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ooh,
20.
17 plus 6.
Okay, Abel, you're fine.
wait, no, I passed last time, right?
Oh, you did because of the Flash of Genius. So go ahead and
I
roll.
got a 20, so I'm good.
You're also good, and Marlo with advantage.
20.
20, so you're good. So the last 4 hours, the bugs do not bother you. Those are all high rolls from the Seablade too. Yes. Okay, they're safe. Okay, good. And then with a 28, so you managed to dodge any of the flora or fauna issues. There are a couple times where you have to pause, and you do see like a herd of those large boar going through. One particularly large male boar leading them through, and then the others kind of following. And you pause and let them pass. You manage to deftly move around some more spots of the invasive fungus, and also a couple spots of quicksand. You do not encounter any more of the small snake creatures. Go ahead and make a final perception checks, Kaimana, for the last 2 hours of the trip.
$14.
14. Let's see how Misty does. Okay. So as you're getting into the late afternoon period, you start to see the path become more clear, somewhat seemingly more better maintained, maybe perhaps, but it's far easier to pick out the flagstones that guide you in this direction. And you come across a section where there's large archway pillars that are rising up on either side. A few of them kind of broken, so that you just have like a part of an archway here, part of an archway there. But eventually you come to a break in the forest, and you see in front of you the most massive of temples. And immediately, Marlo and Jury, you kind of recognize it from your flying around. As it's the only thing tall enough to rise above the level of the trees. So I'll give you a visual here.
Whoa.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right.
That's really cool.
That looks so
I love it.
good.
I can hear the tom toms. Like,
What immediately catches your vision on that, though, is off to the side there is a roaring fire, as if this is a location where people are using it as an encampment or something. But you get the sense that this is the location you're looking for. You see like the large looming statue of Naginda on the top of the tower, at the central tower of the temple.
Are they clutching something in their paw there?
They are. It looks like a stone recreation of one of the tide bonds from this distance. Yeah. And there is a section of this forest where it seems like a newly formed, like a river has kind of washed through, and it is slightly overflowing its banks. It is a little wider than it seems, like part of this area is flooded. But the temple is there in front of you. What I want to, before we leave and pick up here next time, is you guys are approaching from this side over here. As you get to the space, is there, you can kind of set yourselves up for approach, how tightly packed you want to be, and where you kind of want to set yourself. And then the Seablade are moving across this way, and they're kind of spreading out around the fire and investigating this direction.
I'm going to head towards the riverbank.
Okay.
I want to follow closely with Saurus.
Further back. So basically behind that tree versus in front of it.
Okay.
I'll be
all the
more
way to the river.
I'll be more towards the front of where we're headed here, like more towards that fire.
Okay. So you move up this direction.
Yeah.
Paimana?
that tree by the bridge.
This one right here?
To the right, just a hair.
Like up on the flagstone?
Yeah, right there.
Jury?
I'll get towards Mar.
All right, cool. So as you all are kind of moving and preparing yourself, you start to hear the sounds of a drum. And at the top of the temple, you see a creature slither out of the temple.
Ugh.
Whoa.
Why slither? Why slither, man?
Because it is a large humanoid-looking cobra, a staff clutched in one hand, a book in the other. And then coming out this part right here, you see another similar one with two curved swords in either hand. And as the drums begin to go, they start to hiss and call out in a perverted form of Draconic. So none of you can really understand it, but they're calling for something. And at that point, Marlo, is when you notice like the floor around you, the ruins. There are places where in the brush you can see small burrow holes that seem to be just about the right size for that little snake creature that you killed earlier.
I turn to Grip Cook and I go, "You ever played Whack-A-Mole?"
And that is where we will pick up next time.
You don't
He's got the hammer and everything.
He's got the hammer.
Yep, he does. Yep.
You can't
That's the
understand
title of our next episode. Whack-A-Mole.
No, that's not
Yep.
real Draconic.
DM.
What's that?
So we can't understand their dialect of Draconic at all.
You hear like elements of it that seem familiar, but it's kind of like when somebody's speaking Flemish and you're like, man, it sounds like they're speaking English, but I didn't understand a single word that they said.
Mm.
Yeah.
Trying to see how prepared I'd be for this little
Yeah.
snake.
Just from a perspective of you all, like Saurus could probably easily clear the river on his own. Anybody else, it would be very, very difficult to clear the river without using the bridge or some other thing to get across the
There's
river.
that tree that's down.
There's a tree, there's the bridge itself. So there's some elements for you there to get across the river to the temple.
I figure I'm gonna go across the temple, go across to the temple and see if I can take out the spellcaster or at least harass him.
Do what your heart tells you.
I can also get over there pretty fast.
Yeah.
Because I can fly.
Yes, wings boots. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because you can fly, yes.
I definitely say those all the time, so you guys remember.
Not yourself.
No.
Mara's pretty proud of those wing boots. Why not
I am.
work them into conversation?
Exactly.
All right.
Neat. All right.
Abel, poison is faded.
Okay.
Good.
It was 3
ready to go
hours.
to this fight, rolling disadvantages.
No, it lasted 3 hours. If Kamana's perception had been below a 25, then there might have been additional like issues like that popping up. But Kamana's perception was so high that you were able to avoid those things. So, yep.
It's our leader.
Yep.
It was funny when they called Mara the captain earlier. It made me laugh quite a bit.
Having the druid lead us through a jungle.
Pretty smart, right?
That's native to this area.
I forgot. Here we go. There we go.
That sells it.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at that.
I forgot that I had the thing. There we go.
It looks so cool.
Because the sun is beginning to set, so you have like this kind of lighting. There you go.
And the green from the
yeah, that's badass.
That's good. That's good.
I love it.
I love it.
Make it move. Why did it freeze?
Well, I froze it because, like, why would the sunlight look like this?
Because the water from the river is reflecting.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Come on, man.
And there are clouds over
there are clouds, yeah,
which do weird refraction things.
Yep. So there you
It's
go.
creepy.
Yeah, it is.
All
right, good night, Atwood.
Bye, Atwood. Just because we want.